Okay, so Edco A, and this is question 8, and this is an algebra question. So as we've been doing with the other questions, we're going to just label the topic on the question so that when we go to revise and we're looking to do some more algebra, we can look at this question in terms of doing some revision. As we work our way down through the question, we'll write down what the subtopics are in algebra. For example, the first question is about factorizing the difference of squares. Now, I would suggest that before you actually tackle this question 8, you would go and have a look at the cheat sheets or the reference sheets for algebra. So I'm going to attach them into the classroom, and specifically I would concentrate on multiplying brackets out, factorizing, in particular factorizing the difference of squares and quadratic trinomials. I would then on the second sheet have a look at algebraic division. And so if you have a look at those things before you go and tackle this question, you'll be better prepared to launch into it. So let's go and have a look at the first question, which is very, very straightforward. We're asked to factorize x squared minus 25y squared. Now, you might notice that x squared is x being squared, and 25y squared is 5y being squared. They're separated by a minus, and so this is the difference of two squares factorization. So if we just write down the subtopic, this is the difference of two squares. And again, if you look at the reference sheet, you'll see that there's 4 main types of factorizing, and we're going to see 2 of them in this lesson: the difference of two squares and then factorizing quadratic trinomials. So how do we factorize the difference of two squares? So, well, we open up 2 sets of brackets and we put whatever's being squared in the first, to give the first term, x squared, in the first part of each bracket. So x multiplied by x gives us x squared. Then in the second part of each bracket, we put whatever's being squared to give the 25y squared, which is 5y and 5y. And then the difference of two squares has a plus in one bracket and a minus in the other bracket. And the order is not important once we have a plus in one and a minus in the other. So I would suggest when you get your answer that we check this answer by multiplying out the brackets. So depending on how much time you have in the exam and you're looking to kind of go over your answers and see if they're right, a good method of reversing the factorization is to multiply out the brackets and see do you get to the original expression. So if I multiply x plus 5y times x minus 5y, I'm going to open the brackets, so that's x on x minus 5y plus 5y on x minus 5y. That's equal to x squared minus 5xy plus 5xy and then minus 25y squared. And we can see that the minus 5xy cancels with the plus 5xy to give us x squared minus 25y squared. And it just shows that our factorization was correct. Okay, the second question then asks us, really what they're asking us here to do is to factorize this quadratic trinomial. So quadratic trinomial. So trinomial just means that there is 3 terms in it. There's an x squared term, an x term, and a number term. So let's go ahead and see how we'll factorize this. And I'm not going to concern myself that they've told me one factor is x minus 1. So I can factorize this without knowing that, and then I'll see that there was an x minus 1 in it. So we have, and I'll do it over here on the side and introduce a bit of color to show the way that I factorize quadratics. So I'm going to write down 2x squared in purple, and then we're going to have plus 3x and then minus 5. So this is your typical quadratic trinomial. It has 3 parts. You open up 2 sets of brackets, and the number or the terms that go in the first part of each bracket, so here and here, need to multiply to give 2x squared. And so that can only possibly be 2x times x. The terms at the end of each bracket, or the second term in each bracket, they need to multiply to give 5. So over on the side, I'm going to write down 5. That could either be 1 by 5, or it could be 5 by 1. And they're the only possible combinations. The last requirement, so before I put those in, the last requirement we have is that when we put in the 5 and the 1, or the 1 and the 5, the product of the inner terms, so these two, added to the product of the outer terms, they have to give plus 3x. the middle term of our quadratic trinomial. So the approach I use is trial and error. So I'm just going to try 1 and 5, and if that doesn't work, I'll use 5 and 1. If there was more factors to 5, then I'd have to try more of them. So let's put in 5 and 1. 5 and 1. So the middle terms multiplied would give us 5x. And the outer terms multiplied would give us 2x. So we have to make a decision, could 5x and 2x combine to give plus 3x? So on the side I write down 5x and 2x. Could they give us 3x? They could. If we add the 5x and subtract the 2x, we get 3x. So plus 5x minus 2x, and that helps us with our signs. And so our signs are the 5 needs to be a plus, and the minus 2 on the outside, when we multiply those, that needs to be a minus, so we need minus 1 here. Again, you could go and check this, but one way that I know that I'm probably on the right track is they told us that x minus 1 was a factor, and we had to find the other factor, which is 2x plus 5. So I'm going to write down 2x squared plus 3x minus 5, just to get the answer down in the box. And the answer is 2x plus 5 on x minus 1. But be careful, the question doesn't say to factorize it. It says what's the other factor. And so the other factor is 2x plus 5. And that's the answer to this question. Now, the second part of the question asks us to write down one quadratic expression in x other than 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 that has x minus 1 as a factor. So what they're asking for us to do now is to create a quadratic expression, or to form a quadratic expression. Now, there's infinite answers to this question. All they want is us to multiply two factors together and come up with a quadratic expression. But one of the factors they're asking to be x minus 1. The only answer we can't have is we can't put in 2x plus 5 in the first bracket, because that would give us the 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. So we can come up with anything else. So I'm just going to, off the top of my head, the first thing I can think of is maybe let's put in x plus 2. But you can have anything in this first bracket as long as it's of the form something x plus some number. So it can't be an x squared or an x cubed. It has to be just something x. It can be 1x, as I have, or I could put in 2x or 4x or 5x. I can even have minus numbers, because R, A, B, and C just have to be real numbers, and minus numbers, negative numbers, are real numbers. So I could have minus 3x, minus 4x. I could have fractions if I wanted. I could have 2 over 3x. I've just picked as simple as I could. I just picked 1x. Plus k, where k is just some other real number. And even 0 is a real number. You could actually leave out a number from that first bracket and just have x or 2x or 3x. So the best way to show you this is actually to give you a few examples. So this is my solution. I'm picking x plus 2 times x minus 1. I need to make the quadratic. They asked me to give me the answer in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c. So I need to multiply it out. So it's x on x minus 1 plus 2 on x minus 1. That's going to be x squared minus x plus 2x minus 2, which is x squared plus x minus 2. And this is my answer. This is my quadratic, where I have ax squared. So we can't see a number in front of the x squared, but it's 1. So my a is 1. We have bx. Again, we can't see a number in front of the x, but b is 1. And then c is the minus 2. So that's my answer, but there's infinite answers. Let's just do a couple more answers just to kind of make sure we have this. So I've said x plus 2 times x minus 1. I could have said 3x plus 4 by x minus 1. The only condition is that x minus 1 has to be one of the factors. So if I multiply this out, I have 3x on x minus 1 plus 4 on x minus 1. So that's 3x squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 4. And then tidying this up, we have 3x squared plus x minus 4. So there's another possible solution. I mentioned that we could even have no number in the first bracket with the x. So I could just have an x on its own, and we'll see how that can work out. So we'll just get a purple pen for this. I could have x in the first bracket, and I don't even need to put it in a bracket. I can just say x on x minus 1. And you might say, well, I don't think this is going to give me a quadratic trinomial, and it won't, but it will actually satisfy the conditions, and we'll see why in a second. X by x is x squared, and x by minus 1 is minus x. So this is a quadratic expression, but it's not a quadratic trinomial. And like I said, you might say to me, but we're meant to have something x squared, which we do, a x squared, a would be 1. Something x, which we do, we have b would be minus 1. But we don't have a c part. Now, I could put in plus 0, in which case the c part would be 0. And because, like I said, a, b, and c just have to be real numbers, 0 is a real number, and so x squared minus x would be a valid answer. But as I mentioned before, there's infinite answers to a question like that. Okay, let's have a look at the very last question, which is a question on long division. So I'm just going to push up here so that we have lots of space. I don't think the box, I'm not sure I could be neat enough to put the answer fully in the box. So let's see how we're going to do long division. Now, first of all, how do we know it's long division? Let's just write down long division. So we're asked to show that 2x minus 3 is a factor of 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 4x plus 3. So what's a factor? A factor divides in evenly. So how can we show that 2x minus 3 divides in evenly into this cubic expression? Well, we can do long division. So on the side I have 2x minus 3, and then I'm going to divide this into the cubic expression, 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 4x plus 3. And again, we just want to give ourselves plenty of space here because, you know, there's quite a number of steps to this. So how do we start algebraic long division? We start by dividing 2x into 2x cubed. And 2x, if I divide that into 2x cubed, that goes x squared times. I then multiply that x squared by 2x to give me 2x cubed, which I write down here. And then I multiply that x squared by minus 3 to give me minus 3x squared, which I put underneath the minus 7x squared. One thing that's important in this is to have all of the terms in the correct column. So the x cubes are here in this column, then we have the x squareds, then we have the x's, and then we have the numbers. If you find that you're missing a term in a cubic expression, so if you didn't have an x squared part, you would leave space for that so that everything is in its correct column. Okay, so that's the first step. Then we draw a line underneath, and we're going to subtract the second line from the first line. And we subtract the second line by changing the signs. So this becomes a minus, and this one becomes a plus. And what will always happen is the first two terms will always cancel. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed will be 0. We're going to add down the rest, so we have minus 7x squared plus now 3x squared, which is minus 4x squared. And then finally, we bring down any terms we haven't used yet. So 4x minus 0 is obviously just 4x, and then 3 minus 0 is obviously just 3. So we bring those down. Some people bring those down at the end. I think we should bring them down as we're working with them. Okay, so we've kind of done the process once. We're going to do this same process 2 more times. So then I'm going to divide 2x into minus 4x squared. And 2x, if I divide that into minus 4x squared, goes minus 2x times, and I put that on top. I'm going to now multiply minus 2x by 2x to give me minus 4x squared. And I'm going to multiply minus 2x by 3, or minus 3, to give me plus 6x. As we did before, I'm going to draw a line underneath. I am going to subtract the second line from the first line by changing both the signs. The first terms will always cancel. Minus 4x squared plus 4x squared is 0. And then we add down the rest. Plus 4x minus 6x is minus 2x. And then plus 3 minus 0 is obviously just plus 3. And we've done the process now 2 times. So I'm going to do it one more time. So give myself one last bit of space. And we're going to divide 2x into minus 2x. So 2x into minus 2x goes minus 1 time. I'm going to multiply the minus 1 by the 2x to give me minus 2x. I'm going to multiply the minus 1 by the minus 3 to give me plus 3. I'm going to draw a line underneath. I'm going to subtract the second line from the first line by changing the signs. The first terms will always cancel, and in this case 3 minus 3, they also cancel and give us 0 as well. So we have a remainder of 0, and we went through the same process 3 times. Because we have a remainder of 0, that means that 2x minus 3 divides evenly, so evenly with no remainder, into our cubic expression, which was 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 4x plus 3, and therefore we can say that 2x minus 3 is a factor of the cubic expression 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 4x plus 3.